gentlemen, and welcome back to something a little bit different. News! Yes, that's right. We're going to be diving in and talking about a post released a few days ago on Steam by the Slipways developer Jakub, aka Beetlewing, that addresses the upcoming beta now becoming an open beta instead of a closed beta, as previously announced. We'll also be discussing some development updates that were shared, which you just might be able to see in the game when the beta goes live. So, first things first. If you're not sure what Slipways is, I've included a link down in the description to a video I did about a month back covering all of those details, as well as additional links related to the game itself and where to find more information. As always, I am your host with the most, TheChronicToast, and let's dive on in as there is a lot to unpack. A few days ago on Thursday, April 29th, 2021, for those of you watching in the Slipway connected future, at 8:55 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, a news update was released by Slipways developer detailing information that the community is sure to be very excited about. This update does not disappoint, though it may take a different form than some were expecting. So let's get into it. In the article, the developer states that there were over 4,000 people that have signed up for the closed beta, which honestly seems to have caught Jakub, the developer, by surprise. People want to play Slipways, and I can't fault them for doing that. This game looks good. I mean, really good. Having previously chosen to prioritize efforts leading up to the June 3rd launch date, that trend holds true here as the developer has decided to change the closed beta into an open beta, specifically a time limited beta via Steam to facilitate still getting feedback while maintaining their development schedule. So, what does this mean in practice? The open beta will run from May 6th of this year, 2021, starting at 12 UTC until May 10th, 2021, at 12 UTC. So, anyone during this time will be able to freely download and play the beta version available on the game's Steam page and get to grips with the latest version of the game. Jakub does note here, however, that this will be the final opportunity to try the game before it is planned to be released in just over 4 weeks. So we can expect that this open beta version will be fairly close to the launch version in features and polish. So that's all exciting, but what's actually in the beta? Well, for starters, a whole lot of features and exciting changes have been shared during development over on the Slipways Discord, which we'll cover in a moment after going over what's stated in the Steam announcement. There are only two paragraphs addressing this directly in the news update, and I suspect players will be pleasantly surprised in the upgrades they'll notice when comparing the open beta against the demo that was available during the Steam Spring Festival back in February. The open beta version will only be in English, though it is important to note that the final game will support the additional languages of German, French, Chinese, and Polish. The open beta will also support both the Windows and Mac operating systems. In terms of specific game modes and content, playing standard runs and searching for forebear structures in a single campaign mission were mentioned, alongside our first glimpse at that endless mode where you can play beyond the 25-year limit of the standard run. Visually, we'll see revamped technology systems for additional strategies, a new set of 20 perks for the races, events and proper map selection screens, among many other UI and performance improvements. So, we mentioned there were additional updates, news articles, and potential features shared during development over on the Discord page in the last month and a half that weren't explicitly called out in the Steam article. So, what were those, and do we know if they're in the game? Well, for starters, we can't confirm that these features are in, or that if they are in, that they were incorporated to the game as revealed. So, take this next bit with a little bit of salt, effectively seasoned to taste. We're going to go through probably 15 or so items here, so this is going to be a little bit lengthy, but I think it's going to be pretty darn cool. So, first off, we have campaign missions. These are going to focus on mission briefings and some really cool new graphics and functionality that I'm excited to see. It should make the game pop a little bit more and increase the immersiveness. Upcoming next, we have cultural resource and technology. This is potentially a new wildcard resource that can be delivered anywhere, but at the time of posting, this was still an unfinished state, so we'll see if this makes it into the launch game. Of course, we have endless mode. As the article stated, this should be pretty exciting for those that wish to just keep playing. What has been shared looks very promising, and I'm excited to see what people end up doing with this. It's going to be epic. Seed selection screen is the next one. This is a feature I'm also pretty excited about, and for me personally, it seems to harken back to the seed selection options for games like RimWorld, where you can visually click a region of a map or map like feature, and that pixel that is selected represents your unique world seed that you're playing in. This is pretty cool. Also, you have expanded sensor station technology that was shared. This is going to be pretty nice for those folks that like to make long, stretched out networks and push out where the planets get a little bit more scarce. This should give you a tiny slight upgrade to exploration ability. Of course, we also have a new set of icons. These are pretty self explanatory. These are a nice upgrade, and alongside improved 3D models for items on the map, this is going to look pretty awesome. You also have updated UI action bars and buttons. As far as quality of life updates go, this is a nice to have feature I didn't know I wanted until I saw it. Anything to improve this portion of the game is a win in my book. We also have stable and pulsing probes option. So this is one that again people weren't really aware of that they really thought about, but it did come up a couple times in the suggestions. So this one may be a love or hate relationship depending on the player. Some love the pulsing probe minigame, which could yield a large or smaller radius, depending on where and when you click when you're sending out your probes. This option allows you to turn that minigame off and have a stable, solid, non-pulsing probe. So flavor to taste. Upcoming is UI capability enhancements. This one is also pretty self explanatory, and while there are many here, so much so that we can't quite cover them all, this one in particular caught my attention. Having additional functionality to compare planets in the form of a pop up, it's a no brainer and an easy increase of functionality that looks great too. Visual trade graphics and updates. This is a fun one that doesn't add any actual gameplay value, in my opinion, but visually it is a very nice touch. Who doesn't want to see your goods going from point to point? And it's just to further reinforce visually with the decisions that you've made, and it's a really nice, rewarding feature. We also have a soundtrack for the launch version of the game. I thought the audio in the game was pretty good already, just being completely honest. And having heard a bit of what the new audio work in progress sounds like, it's much better. It's way better. So the tune and the tone are catchy and appealing to listen to. Keep an ear out for this one and let me know if you like the newer or the older audio approach. Forebear structures can be quested for. That's another really awesome one. So this I'm pretty intrigued by, as I think it will lend itself to be expanded upon later as more campaigns come online, official as well as potentially custom user made. Effectively, you're getting sensor traces to track or quest an ancient forebear structure. Just be careful not to awaken whatever you find there when you do find it. And second to last, you've got 20 new quirks for the races. This is pretty straightforward. This is focusing primarily on balance and versatility of the game. Each race, of which there are 5, now have 4 unique additional perks with some weird fun stuff to be found here. Some of these were even based on community feedback, which is pretty cool. Lastly, if there wasn't enough new exciting stuff to get energized over, Wireframe Magazine did an article on Slipways in their most recent 49th issue that digs into the behind the scenes driving factors of why Jakub wanted to make the game the way they did. A link to Wireframe is in the description below, and while you can choose to download the issue for free, the magazine does request that you pay what you want to help support future issues, similar to Humble Bundle or Drive-Thru RPG and other websites that operate on that business model. So, with that, we've covered a lot of stuff that we know is coming. What might be included? What's left? Well, that happens to be the last 2 segments of the Steam News article. The developer states that they are mostly focused on getting the game in a state ready for launch. Spoiler, it already looks and plays great. Beyond that, we have the below promised features for launch, which is pretty cool. So the developer stated that what will be included for launch is a full first act of the campaign with 4 missions. Here in the open beta, we're getting a look at that first mission, which is pretty cool. A ranked run mode, so you can compete against others in the world. Puzzle challenges effectively. This is going to keep me coming back on a week-to-week basis. I'm really excited about that. The ability to change sector types and system quirks to modify each new run, making them refreshed, and it's amazing every time you dive back in, as well as an achievement system. And let's be honest, this is a big deal for casual players and completionists alike. Being able to say that you've completed the game or you're trying to get that last achievement is a huge driving force for a lot of people with games. And lastly, you have to focus on post-release updates to maintain quality of life and completion of the full 3 acts of the campaign. And this is what the developer said. I'm excited to see that, continuing to see additional support after it launches. I'm really, really stoked about that. It bodes very, very well for the game. So this has been a bit of a deeper dive into the update that went out a few days ago. If you want to discuss this update in more detail, please head on over to the Slipways Discord, link in the description below, or chat with me in the comment section here on YouTube, or you can find me over on Twitter at TheChronicToast. I'm very excited for this open beta and plan to be covering in detail the different game modes in the weeks to come prior to the game's launch with their own dedicated content videos. Who knows, you might even see me playing on Twitch a time or two in the weekend coming up. So, as always, I have been your host with the most, the Chronic Toast, and I'll leave you with a sneak peek of a listen of the work in progress menu music for Slipways. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.